Hello, friends. Today we're going to talk about ambivalence. What in the world is that, and how does it apply to my life? Let's get into it. We should talk. Hi, friends. This is Bethany Jennings, and you're listening to We Should Talk. It's a podcast where we talk about anything and everything to encourage, equip, and empower you to be a decent human. Let's talk. Hello, everyone. We're going to get into today's podcast setting. I am sitting in what we affectionately refer to as the ugly chair at my house, but fear not, it has a chair cover over it. We've had it since before our marriage, actually, and it moved with us to this house. And I pray it does not move with us to the next house, because, like I said, it is ugly. I'm sitting in this chair because, unfortunately, my beloved couch that has gotten me through high school, college, dating, engagement, and marriage, and 2 children, is given up the ghost, friends. Like, the bottom's literally falling out of it. I think it's like 25 years old or something. So, which is crazy because I'm also 25, so that's shocking. Anyways, it's given up the ghost, so I am not sitting on it because I don't want to fall off the couch. Anyways, that's the setting, and this is where I'm at. I'm in my home. My children have just been put to bed. They're not actually asleep yet. I can still hear them, like, rustling around. So I might have to pause this and go check on them. But I have to get an episode out. Bless your hearts. I didn't post at all last week. We were traveling back from somewhere on that Monday, and then we had church that thing, and then Tuesday, and then I had some sessions I did Wednesday, and I don't know. I haven't had the brain space for it, and I appreciate you guys being patient. But there are things that I do want to talk about, because I'm finding it's actually beneficial if, like, I can't set up a session with someone. I can be like, hey, go listen to the episode on attachment. Go listen to the episode about the book of James. Go listen to the episode about, and they just go look for it, I'm like, start there. If you have questions, we'll set up a session. It's becoming actually quite helpful in that regard. Anyways, today I have threatened to do this specific topic a few times. But tonight's the night. Today's the day. We're going to talk about ambivalence. Ambivalence is kind of a strange term, but it's come up a few times in conversations lately, and like it just keeps coming up in conversations. So I'm like, okay, I can take a hint. I will do an episode on it. So here we are. By psychological definition, ambivalence, it refers to like 2 opposing emotions happening at the same time. So like a co-occurrence of opposing emotions or evaluations toward the same. My kid's calling me. Hold on just a second. I'll be right back. We're back. He had a very serious ankle injury that was preventing him from actually going to sleep, which is crazy because when I put him to bed, there was no ankle injury. And I just don't know what he could have done to have that serious of an ankle injury. Anyways, we're fine. We're back. Ambivalence. So ambivalence is like a co-occurrence of 2 seemingly opposite emotions about the same individual or situation or relationship or, life occurrence. Like, for example, love and frustration happening at the same time. And it's not that it's like you can't decide which one you are. It's just that you are both of them simultaneously. It's a genuine mix of emotions. I have mixed emotions about that. You heard people say that? I don't know. I got mixed emotions about that. That means they are experiencing ambivalence. It's a positive and a negative response existing concurrently. And that back and forth is influencing thoughts, feelings, and behaviors about the situation or the person. So there's different kinds of concepts about ambivalence. So the way psychology has done their research is like it conceptualizes ambivalence involving like affective ambivalence, like conflicting emotions, affection, and annoyance, for example. Cognitive ambivalence, where it's like conflicting beliefs, like this person supports me, but they also undermine me all the time. That's cognitive. Like I am witnessing it's cognitive, right? So it's not, that one's not emotion. That is, I'm seeing a difference in their behaviors. And then there's behavioral ambivalence, which is mixed actions, like you approach and then you withdraw, then you approach, then you withdraw. And again, so that ambivalence is present in certain attachment styles, more prevalent in certain attachment styles. And if you haven't heard that episode, go listen to that one. But yeah, so affective ambivalence, talking about like your emotions, affection and annoyance at the same time, or love and frustration at the same time. But also there's cognitive ambivalence, conflicting beliefs, and then behavioral ambivalence, which is like mixed actions. But this is super normal. I feel like this is the whole point of this episode. It is completely normal in close relationships to have and experience ambivalence, because any deep social bond inherently involves both rewards and strains. Like there's positives and negatives in any truly deep relationship, because we're humans and we're flawed and we're not all rainbows and sunshine and unicorn burps all the time. And so because of that, our friends and our family, like they'll experience some ambivalence in that. So let's talk about it in different relationships. So ambivalence in a romantic relationship. So empirical findings, again, this is not things that I am making up. These are, I've seen these things and maybe experienced some of them, witnessed some of them. But again, these are not solely things that I was pulling out of my ear. But again, empirical findings. So people in committed relationships frequently report having mixed feelings about their significant other, such as love, but also irritation or desire to not be with that person every now and then. And these mixed feelings, they can fluctuate daily. You know, I love my husband, but he does certain things that irritate me. And he loves me, and I never irritate him because I'm the best wife in the world. Clearly, obviously. And he tells me that all the time. So it has to be true. Just kidding. I'm not perfect. Anyways, ambivalence is associated, it can be very constructive in some ways, but it can also be destructive. So ambivalence isn't negative all the time. Like sometimes it can have a positive effect. Like it can force you to think about how you can improve your relationship. It can force you to think about wanting to be closer to that person. But it can also be destructive and lead to destructive behaviors like criticism or withdrawal or extreme jealous behaviors or things like that. And the empirical findings do suggest that mixed emotions or ambivalence can lead to care and conflict simultaneously. Care and conflict simultaneously, or care and conflict, and whichever one you feed is the one that's gonna win out. Again, feelings are feelings. Your feelings are real. They're not reality. How you respond to your feelings is what you choose. There are no bad feelings, right? There are no bad feelings, but how you respond is something you choose. If you've not read my book on Feel All My Feelings, I don't care how old you are, go read it. And then read it to all of the children in your life. Feel All My Feelings, published by Truth Book Kids Co. Next, feelings like jealousy, that really does heighten ambivalence by simultaneously increasing the perceived partner's value, but decreasing the trust. So like you value them, and it may not be like to another person. Like it might not be like a female being jealous of a female, but like you're jealous of, I gotta quit saying like, what's that about? You're jealous of like I just said it again, you're jealous of your husband's time, and he's spending so much time working at, his office job, but also he's working overtime and he's not spending time with you or with the family. And so you understand there's value in his time, but you are also upset, and your trust that he is prioritizing things right is decreased, right? So it's not always like another human. That can happen with a lot of things. Also, perceiving your partner as ambivalent towards you is linked with poor relationship satisfaction and predictability. It creates emotional uncertainty. So, and that might just be because people don't understand ambivalence that well. Like they like jealousy, they know what that feels like, you know, being, feeling forgotten in your relationship, feeling overlooked or undervalued. They know what that feels like. It's very clear what that's like. But ambivalence is kind of weird because you don't always know what to do with it because you don't know how to name it, you know. Oh, there goes the AC. AC's on. Okay, so let's talk about a real life example. Imagine you're like in a long-term relationship. You very deeply care about your significant other, but also you're very frustrated about their communication style. And so you love them for their support and their humor, but you also simultaneously, concurrently, feel very irritated by repeated misunderstandings. Right? So this can lead you to wanting closeness one moment and then pulling away the next. That is an embodiment of ambivalent emotions. But it's not just romantic relationships. It's also platonic relationships, familial relationships. A lot of research focuses on romantic ties. Psychology does recognize ambivalence in close friendships, especially those marked by complex social roles or inconsistency. So people with ambivalent attitudes towards others can express similar mixed feelings back to them, which would validate each other's experience of conflict and even sometimes promote social understanding when it's managed well. So it's possible, again, it's possible for this to be positive. So a real life example of that, your childhood best friend, you love them. You love them for their loyalty, but you're also conflicted because they dismiss your feelings or they make plans and inadvertently excuse you, or, you know, you see them being friends with other people, but you're not really sure where that leaves you, you know. Or your childhood friend has been very loyal to you. You've grown up together and had a lot of life experiences together, but you don't fully agree with the choices they're making right now. That could lead to your feelings oscillating between being really close and wanting to put distance there. So this is occurring in a lot of relationships, not just romantic relationships, even in your family, especially with parents and adult children. They experience ambivalence. We experience ambivalence. It's support and conflict within this within the same relationship. The key findings with the psych studies is like intergenerational ambivalence. So holding good and bad feelings together. It's common, and it does have measurable impacts on well-being of those affected by it. The parents and the adult children of those parents. It's linked to poor psychological, physical health outcomes if it's not resolved. And I say this all the time. I feel like a broken record, but when you don't deal with the psychological stuff, it will show up in your physical body. Cortisol, stress. It leads, to higher infection rates, higher muscle tension, heart issues, you name it. When you don't deal with stuff, it shows up in the physical. That's why it's like laughable to me at this point when people are like, well, it's not that big of a deal. It's just my mental health. It's just the way I think. It's just that, no, the way you're thinking is affecting the way you're behaving. And if you don't change it, it's going to manifest in your physical well-being. So fix it now and pay for the help you need, or you can pay a cardiologist later. You let me know what you decide. It's a different topic. Anyway, so yeah, specifically with family relationships, there being like ongoing negative ambivalence, it affects your health in the long term. Ambivalence towards parents in adolescence and emerging into adulthood, really, it relates to the changes in depressive symptoms over time. You didn't feel seen or understood or appreciated or whatever by your parents, dismissed, not taken seriously. That can affect, your state, your mental state over time. So like you care, let's see an example. You have a sibling you grew up with, but you're very frustrated about lifestyle choices, about communication habits. And so you feel the warmth of family when you're with them, but simultaneously you want to punch them in the face. You can have both of those things at the same time. And I feel like it's super important to state that ambivalence is supposed to be happening. It's not negative. It doesn't have to be negative, I should say. If you are feeding it into the negative side, then yes, it's going to affect you negatively. But ambivalence is completely normal. It's completely natural. You just have to understand what's happening and not respond poorly. It's very normal and functional. It's not like a pathological problem. It reflects the complexity of human relationships, and that's normal. If you have any kind of depth and you're more than a surface friend, you're going to have some level of ambivalence. Close relationships, they involve interdependence. So there's positive and negative emotions naturally coexisting instead of canceling each other out. Ambivalence can motivate you to do positive things like reflection or relational needs and problem solving, or, actually talking about your issues instead of sweeping them under the rug. Even when it's stressful, ambivalence can push people to negotiate boundaries, like actually set a boundary for yourself, engage more constructively. It's typical. Ambivalence is typical. It's normal. It's functional. But again, when it is persistent, unresolved conflict without communication, without repairing, without fixing the issue, it does contribute to distress over time. It contributes to you being physically, mentally unwell. So while it is normal and it's functional, you have to learn to deal with it, not just ignore it. So I want you to understand that it is normal. And when you're in a relationship and you're like, I really love being around this person, but also I don't love everything that they do. Or I absolutely am madly in love with my husband, but when he puts his socks beside the laundry basket instead of in them, I want to throat punch him. That's normal. Or on a more serious note, when you are a mother, I just talked to someone about this. One of the conversations I was talking about. When you're a mother for the first time, it happened to me. It doesn't happen to everybody. It happened to me, and a friend I was talking to, she was experiencing it as well. It was like, she's like, I'm so happy that my baby's here, but also I'm just so sad. And I'm like, yeah, friend, you can experience joy and sorrow at the same time. Like, it's possible. And I think we are taught, I think especially in our Christian culture, we are taught to, oh no, he'll give you joy for sorrow and dancing for weeping. And it's one or the other. It's very black and white. But in real life, it's not always so black and white. There's that gray area where you're switching over, and sometimes you're going back and forth, And I told her, I said, I experienced the same thing. When I had Onyx, I was so completely in love with this child. I would just look at him and weep, not because I was upset, but because I just loved him so much. But also, I couldn't stop weeping. And it was because I was kind of like mourning a phase of my life being over. Like, I was so happy and so full of joy and gratitude and complete wonder at this miracle that I was holding. But I also, at the same time, was holding the realization of, I will never not be a mother again. I will never just be a newlywed again. I will never just be a wife again. I will always be responsible for another human life from this point forward. And that realization was heavy. when you are in your thoughts a lot, when you are very cerebral, as some would say, you experience ambivalence, I think, to a more intense degree. I think, personally, but I've never not been a deep thinker, so I don't know. So yeah, it's completely normal. So in the romantic setting, it's love and irritation, desire, but also distrust. In a friendly relationship, it's affection, but also annoyance. It's validation challenges back and forth. With your family, it's care and conflict. It's support and frustration. And it is normal in deep relationships. But here's the big takeaway. Ambivalence is normal, and it is a well-documented psychological phenomenon in close relationships. Like, this isn't some random pop culture term. No, this is well-researched, well-documented. And it reflects the inherent complexity of human bonds. This is where positive and negative emotions routinely coexist. They don't cancel each other out, but they coexist, and there is space for both of them. Navigating those mixed emotions with awareness and communication, however, is the central part of a healthy relationship. So, ambivalence is normal. It's okay to love someone and be frustrated with them. You're frustrated because you love them. It's okay to be sorrowful and mourn a phase of your life ending while being so overjoyed and excited for the next phase. It's completely normal. That's ambivalence. And when you are feeling those mixed emotions, that's letting you know that this relationship, this phase of your life, this situation is complex, and it deserves a full spectrum of emotions. So don't freak out when you feel ambivalence. Don't freak out when you have mixed emotions. Don't live in a state of confusion. Recognize what's happening. You are giving proper honor through emotional recognition of the complexity of your relationship or your situation in life. So, I hope this episode has been helpful, and I hope it makes you a better human. Goodbye, friends. Well, that was fun. I'm glad you stuck around for the whole thing. And thank you for talking to me today. Y'all go like and follow and review and do all the podcast things that people do. And don't forget to be a good human.